So the Stooge Joe is an absolute mess right now. That's kind of to be expected. Just got done wrapping with a handful of chutes, so gear is just everywhere. But when I came home, this box had been at the front door. Now, one thing I will tell you is over the years, I am pretty cheap when it comes to gear. Oh, nice, the HVAC went off. And I take my time when I want to get gear. I really, absolutely need to make sure that I need that item. And a lot of times while I'll buy cheap is because I'm trying to make sure if I'm gonna go all in on an item and I want the best of the best, I just need to know that I need it. So a lot of times I'll buy the cheap item, experiment around with it, make sure it fits my workflow. And then if it does, then it makes sense to spend the big bucks. So that kind of brings me to what we are about to unveil here. And this is something that's kind of been a long time in the making. I should have bought one of these years ago, but I didn't. If I can get this box open, fuck it. We'll just pull it right out. It's a C stand. And, Allen wrench. This is from the guys over at NEEWER. I did purchase this myself. I want to say I got it on Prime Day for like 130 bucks. They're gonna be our legs. And as someone that kind of, over the years now, has been filming myself, has been trying to slowly but surely like beef up my lighting set. Oh geez, of course. This is why I got this. Fully metal. Wow, it's bigger than I thought too, which is pretty awesome. Now, I will say, I do not expect to travel with this. This is really more for the studio and then shoots that are in town. I find that a lot of the production companies that I end up working with, if they are traveling, they will just rent these from a local production company when they go out and travel. All right, so $139 C-stand. At least just holding it in my hands, it seems like pretty beefy, pretty nice. Now, I brought up earlier that I like to buy cheap gear, and then if I find out that it fits my workflow, then I'll go all in on something. And I would just say that if this ends up working out, when the time comes, I would buy a Matthew C-stand, just go all in. I know they're a little bit more expensive, but I do know in the long run, they are going to end up working out the best and lasting the best. Now, I wanna be fully transparent. I've actually never owned a C-stand, so this is all gonna be new. I do know a couple of things in regards to being on set with guys that are way more talented than me. And really the pointer mainly is, once we get this set up, is that you always want this leg right here. I don't know if you guys can really see it, but you always want this to be in the front. So if the light's gonna be up top, we need this in front because it will help with the weight. It won't fall forward, which is really what you're trying to do. Ooh, okay, that would pinch a finger. Like I said, all this is new to me. And so bear with me in regards to how amateur I am when it comes to setting this up. But let's go ahead, and you know what? Let's get closer to this C-stand and give you guys a perspective. We have our light stand, so pretty beefy, already pretty tall. I mean, I'm 5'5", maybe 5'6" on a good day, and this thing is pretty much up to my mouth. So already significantly higher than most of my tripods. Now, let's see, we got our clamps here. Let's separate these two. And just right out of the box, as someone that hasn't owned something like this before and doesn't have a ton of experience, this is pretty solid and heavy in regards to just how I feel this thing is built, comparatively speaking to like most of the items that I use. And I am so pumped for this for overhead shots because I know I can actually trust it. Now, one thing you're gonna wanna make sure, and I know maybe you can see the bottom, the base area, will be sandbags are gonna be an absolute must on these, only because you're starting to deal with some heavy weight. I don't have the heaviest of sandbags, but I do have a few. And at minimum, you know, I'd be dropping it on those front legs right down there. Now we can see here, we're already kind of in business when it comes to that. Ah, spring loaded too. So here we go, going up high. And this is what I was looking for. Whether it be my light, whether it be my camera, I'm gonna be able to take it sky high. And let's see real quick. Let's do an example. Get rid of this little boom arm extension guy. That was nice and easy. Once again, this might be like my 4th time ever even using one of these. So like from a user standpoint, you pull it out of the box, boom, boom, make sure everything's tightened down, and then you start to experiment. Dome light, get it off of here, and going straight to, all right. Dome light engaged, boom. Lower that. And then we're gonna go a little bit forward here. We're gonna change camera angle so that we can get a nice little wide view of what we're dealing with here. A dome light, I know it's gotta be at this point overexposed, but who cares? All right, so there we go with the big old wide. Actually, we'll move her a little bit closer here. Okay, so now that we've got the light set up, I'm gonna drop this power on it because I know exposure-wise, just killing the camera. But functionality-wise, light's on there, nice and easy. You can see guys on the wide shot as well here. And then we're just gonna loosen up this. Look how high we go. We're actually out of frame on that shot, which to be expected, but let's see if we are in our massive wide here. And we never hit record, so that's not good. Jeez Louise. But you can now see with the wide shot that this thing goes up ridiculous high. I wanna say it goes 10 feet. So if we wanted to, we'll start with our little one, raise her up. Boom, there we go. Holy snikes, I did not realize this thing would go this high. This is gonna be great for a rev. So I've got an event coming up here pretty soon. August, I wanna say 9th through 10th or something like that. Jesus, that is so high. And it's an event space, there's usually about 1,000 people. And I kind of bought this for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to upgrade studio setup. But I have a kind of like music performance coming up here pretty soon that I need to light. And I wanna light nice and high over the subject or the talent that's gonna be performing. But putting that thing up into the sky like we just did there, oh my goodness, I cannot even wait till, like I mentioned, I go to this event with 1,000 people and I have to go to the back of the room a lot of times to put cameras, and I'm just gonna be able to go so sky high. Also, it'll be nice, now looking at it, to think of, I can get some unique perspectives. Putting this on the side of a stage, going up really high with the camera on it, and getting like this down shot of people entering the stage. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, the reason I purchased this was just to upgrade my studio lighting setup, but also to put me in a situation where for some of these events that I have coming up here in the near future, where they're just a big event spaces, having something that's gonna be able to go like 10, 12 feet is nice. Now, as far as like the base of it, let's see, the legs, it's gonna get a little tricky with the legs because you are gonna need to be in an area where you have, plenty of space because of these legs being so wide. But I think for anyone that's doing an event, this is gonna probably be your option. I used to use, do I have it in here? Yes, I do. This is my traditional light stand. You'll see it. That I've been using now for like the past 2 years. And look, I've been really happy with this one. And as far as like travel wise, this is kind of my go-to. But if you wanna see the difference in like height, we'll put it right next to this. Boop. There we go. All right, and then we'll release the top. Okay. And so it still goes pretty high, but I would say this one maybe goes, I don't know, like 6 feet. But when you start getting it up in the air, you definitely need to make sure that you have a sandbag on it. But I find even if with it only going like 6 foot in the air, there's just so many people that are going to end up disrupting your shot that this C-stand is really gonna be something that's nice. And like I mentioned, overhead lighting, overhead shots, being able to use like this boom arm that comes with it. You're gonna be able to mount your camera at the end of it. Just make sure to put a little weight so you counterbalance it. Before roughly, I wanna say like $145. This is something that's not so sexy, but I think really does come in hand when it comes to creators and people that are just in the video and even photography business. If you were, I guess, shooting weddings and you need to light a dance floor with a spotlight, this might be an option. As mentioned though, a little bit of weight when it comes to it, so you're gonna have to figure out how you wanna travel with it. I wouldn't advise probably flying with it, but if it's local gigs, this is gonna be something that really will actually help you out, and I'm pumped to take advantage of it in my videos moving forward. It just seems so legit. And I mean, as mentioned earlier, all the big production companies that I've worked with in the past, if they're hanging lights, if they're doing any kind of thing, they're using some form of a C-stand. It's just, honestly, it's safer, it's bulkier. You're not gonna have to worry as much about any kind of freak accidents happening, comparatively speaking, to something like this. But Old Faithful right here and the others that are around the Stooge Joe, they've gotten me by for years. So I'm not necessarily saying you need to invest in anything like this, but if you're kind of like you're at my phase where you want a little bit more stability, you want to be a little bit more professional and have the item that can kind of like be more versatile, I think a C-stand is going to be pretty nice. So bought it with my own money, investing in the company, but just got it out of the box and wanted to show you guys. And we'll see how that turned out. The HVAC stayed off for a while, but damn wide shot didn't even have going till the end.